Hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics, and for today's review, it is Doom Coalition 2. Alright, I guess we really do have to do this now. But yeah, what I was implying in that introduction was that Doom Coalition 2, it's a mixed bag with a lot of people. Some people do really enjoy this set and say Doom Coalition 2 is an improvement over Doom Coalition 1. I'll say that's great. I wish I was that person. But unfortunately, Doom Coalition 2 is down. It is not a good set in my opinion, and it's been struggling. Doom Coalition, the entire range, is in not a good state at the moment, in my opinion, and in most people's opinions. That is the case. Now, originally with December scheduling, I was actually going to do a versus video. It was Dark Eyes versus Doom Coalition 1. As Doom Coalition 1 started out so promising, I said to myself, whoa, this is rallying up with Dark Eyes, the first box set. I thought it was going to be like a good old 10 out of 10 material, because the 11 Red Lady, solid stories from Matt Fitter and John Dorney. But after that, it just went down, it crumbled. It's like Doom Coalition was ill or something. I don't know what the hell was going on, but the Galileo Trap and the Satanic Mill, this was like average material, or what we got in the first half. I was really underwhelmed with the second half of Doom Coalition, so a lot of us were hoping that Doom Coalition 2 would get the range back together again. And for some people that is the case, but with a lot of people, they say no, it's just made things worse. Yeah, I was really put off doing this review because it is going to be a negative review. I'm not just going to bash it for the sake of it. I'm going to keep it rather neutral, because there's a lot of good things about Doom Coalition 2 and there's a lot of bad things. There's mainly direction wise of what Doom Coalition's doing, which is going to overarch into like Doom Coalition 3, and I'm just not liking the decisions they're making. Yeah, Big Finish have been on a roll. They have with the monthly range, 4th Doctor Ventures, the War Doctor, Torch, which seems to be going down very well. But this is like the range which is sinking, and this is the only one which is suffering, even though not putting enough time in it. If it's just getting pushed away by other ranges, which I find very odd, because this is a very big range. This is an 8th Doctor range, and he only really gets 2 releases a year, like a Dark Eyes 4 and Doom Coalition, but now he has like an extra story in the Classic Doctor's New Monsters set. I do realise Big Finish have a very big output. You know, lots of stories here. I do understand that, but there's a lot of stories they have to deal with, and maybe some they just don't get enough attention that they actually need. And I think that's the problem with Doom Coalition. It's just not getting enough attention. And I find that surprising, because it's such a big range. It's not happening with the War Doctor, but it's happening with Doom Coalition. Just the choices they're making. It's not good. It's gonna underwhelm the listener. Yeah, most listeners will understand that Big Finish have a huge output, but of course there are going to be like complaints of people saying, oh, what the hell's happening with Doom Coalition? It's going down. Their decisions is not going right. The series overall is going to turn out to be a very mixed bag, so people are like worried they are, and it makes perfect sense why they're worried. It's just what happens in Doom Coalition 2. It's really mixed bag material. It's not turning out satisfying for the listener. Yeah, Doom Coalition 1 had its problems, but overall it was a very solid box set at an 8 out of 10. But yes, from this video you can see that I did not really enjoy Doom Coalition 2. Re-listen to it for a second time was quite a bit short, but it's still good in this box set. Again, I don't want to bash it. I'm going to keep rather neutral, go over all the positives of Doom Coalition 2 and all the negatives, what I really don't like about it. There's going to probably be a really long, informative review of what is good and what is bad about Doom Coalition 2 with each of the stories, and then my conclusions and ratings. Yeah, it's a seriously mixed release, so in the comments you can put your opinions on Doom Coalition 2. I would like to read them, because I've seen so many different opinions on it. Some people giving it like 10 out of 10. It's a solid piece of work. Some people are like 8 out of 10 is a good release, but nothing special. In average market, people are saying it's just terrible, but it's not good at all. There's been so many different opinions on it. Very mixed and very diversified reviews and opinions. So in the comments, if you want to share your opinions on it, that would be great, as I would like to see other opinions on it, especially when people like the box set. So yeah, first I will be showcasing this release, but if you want to go right to the review, starting with Beachhead, the there is the time down below.
So for the showcasing of Doom Coalition 2, we have the brilliant Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor by there, with the song Livchenka and Helen. We have the Sonomancer energy in the background with these metal spirals by here. We have planet Earth by there, and then we have a planet by here which I will name Nameless, as it is spoilers. It's the planet which is featured in scenes from her life. And if the standard stuff is showcasing the main cast such as Paul McGann, Nicola Walker, Haiti Moorhan and Alex Kingston, with the Doctor Who logo, and in Doom Coalition 2, Big Finish, we love stories. Then for the top we have Alex Kingston as River Song by there, then the Doctor by there, Doctor Who, Doom Coalition 2, bit of the Sonomancer energy, that Nameless planet, and underneath we have the copyright information by there, the running time 300 minutes approx, the Big Finish We Love Stories logo and BBC logo. For the spine of what it looks like on your Big Finish shelf, we have the Doctor Who logo, Doom Coalition, brilliant Paul McGann 8th Doctor by there, Sonomancer energy with these spirals, number 2, and the Big Finish logo. And then we have the back, Doctor Who logo, Doom Coalition 2, showcasing the main cast, and then for the stories in the set, Beachhead, Scenes from Her Life, The Gift, and the Sonomancer, with their individual bios and writers, directed by Ken Bedley, and the Big Finish We Love Stories. And in here we have the spines of all the individual stories, Beachhead, Scenes from Her Life, Gift, and Sonomancer, with Beachhead being blue, Scenes from Her Life being red, The Gift being green, and Sonomancer being a lighter blue. So quickly showcasing the individual covers of the stories. First one is Beachhead's front cover, Scenes from Her Life front cover, my favourite cover out of the set, The Gift front cover, and then the finale of the box set, the Sonomancer front cover. And as you can see from these covers, they all have this green energy, so that's a little hint that that's something overarching within this box set. So we have the innards of Beachhead. Taking the disc out, it showcases the Dark Eye series, which I very much recommend. And inside the cover of Beachhead, we have a picture of Livchenka, Nicola Walker by there, Doctor Who magazine, and the writer's notes by Nicholas Briggs. And we have Doom Coalition 2 Beachhead by there in purple. Next we have the innards of Scenes from Her Life. Taking the disc out, it showcases the War Doctor series, the first 2 box sets which have came out. Yes, Infernal Devices will be reviewed shortly soon, as I still do not have that box set because I did not pre-order it. Yeah, I was an absolute fool not to pre-order it. I need to stop ordering the Doctor Who books, so I've got like 30 Doctor Who books coming right now. I'm going bloody mad. But anyway, moving on to the video. We have a cast picture by there, Doctor Who magazine, writer's notes from John Dorney, and Doom Coalition 2 by there in red. Third and the penultimate is The Gift. Taking the disc out, it showcases the Diary of River Song, which I do not have because it hasn't interested me. But if I get like multiple requests to review it, I may look at it, but I personally don't want it. Opening up the booklet, we have a cast picture of Haiti Moorhan and Nicola Walker, Doctor Who magazine, writer's notes from Mark Platt, and then The Gift, Doom Coalition in green. And then lastly, we have the Sonomancer inside, with disc 4 being the story itself, and then disc 5, the behind the scenes, and it advertises Unit Extinction, which I do not have, but it is on my mind to purchase because it is cheap on Amazon. But the reason why I want to get it is because of good reviews. And inside the leaflet we have cast picture of Paul McGann and Alex Kingston, Mark Bonner as the 11, Doctor Who magazine, and then writer's notes by Matt Fitton, and then credits and information by here, such as recorded by, music, sound design, extras, and so on and so forward.
So let's begin my review of Doom Coalition 2, starting with Beachhead by Nicholas Briggs.
This is fresh air. No, wait! No more killing! Commander. No!
Now, Nick Briggs is replacing the writer Edward Collier, who did the last story in Doom Coalition 1, The Satanic Mill, which really did stuff. It was a very average and flat story. It didn't really conclude Doom Coalition 1 very well, so it was a good thing to get rid of Edward Collier. Really don't understand why they gave a writer who I've never heard of, no one's ever heard of, brand new writer, that big of a role. It feels very weird to me. Yeah, he's gone now from the set and Nick Briggs is replacing him, so that's a good move for Doom Coalition 2. With Edward Collier, they should just give him something more smaller to do, like a monthly range or like a maybe a companion chronicle release with like the First Doctor Volume 2 or just something like that. Feels very odd to me. He did something quite big and important, which a lot of people really hoped to be something fantastic, but it ended up being very, very average. Yes, from the cover it features the Vord, very underrated classic monsters. They appeared in the Keys of Marinus, even though they didn't have much to do in it, only appearing in episode 1 and 6. And as well, Domain of the Vord, which is an earlier adventure, the first one. So yes, Big Finish are bringing another classic monster, the Vord. People are going to be excited for that. Yeah, to be honest, I was quite excited for it because I love them in Domain of the Vord. They were very creepy and different from the Keys of Marinus. Yeah, Andrew Smith had some fantastic ideas for the Vord, making them just very creepy. Yeah, the Vord in Beachhead I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, this story has a very nice feeling to the Third Doctor era, John Pertwee's era, good old Earthbound sort of stories. Has quite a nice reference back to the Third Doctor era, as this story is set in Stegmore, and that is a Vord ship that crash landed in Stegmore underneath the sea, and that Third Doctor, Liz Shaw and the unit team were trying to locate the Vord ship, but they couldn't. So this Vord ship has been here all this time from the Third Doctor's incarnation with Liz Shaw. It's got a nice amount of references and dialogue to the Third Doctor era, so if you love the Third Doctor and like season 7 and the Earthbound stuff, then you'll definitely like the dialogue and the references in Beachhead. And as well, there's a lot of female cast in this story, and as well the Vord is a female as well. Yeah, there's some male characters in here, but it's very like minor roles and used for background characters. Oh, and what happens to the 8th Doctor quite early in the story? There's a vicious tide coming in, and he knocks his head and he's unconscious. Seriously, the 8th Doctor's brain, it has to be left alone. I'm really surprised his brain hasn't melted during this point. Come on, he had enough of it already. I'm surprised it didn't melt during the Ancestor cell. Yeah, Big Finish really need to leave the 8th Doctor's brain alone. He had enough of it in the EDAs, the books, and as well with the Monthly Rangers and the 8th Doctor Adventures. But yeah, back to the story Beachhead. It's a very slow moving story, and it's not really driven by like atmosphere or really plot for that matter. It's really driven by its characters. You have to be invested in the characters to make the story moving and engaging. Because the Vord, they take quite a long time to actually get into the story until they actually feel like a threat. And as well on the cover they really call it like an invasion story, but I just don't get that from the Vord. It doesn't really feel like a massive threat is building up into this Earth invasion story. Yeah, like 30 minutes of the story is all character driven. A story doesn't have the best pacing when you try and drive a story on the characters, because they have to be really interesting characters, you have to invest in them, but they weren't anything special, so therefore the drive to it was very slow moving. I was just saying to myself, the plot needs to kick in with the Vord now. It's taking a little bit too long with these characters, even though things do happen quite interesting with the characters. They're just not that investing or interesting. So the story therefore feels very sluggish and it just doesn't move very well. But I guess it does give you enough time to invest in these characters, but that can sort of be a positive, but I see it as a negative that they're not very that interesting, so the story is rather sluggish. But I think that's what Nick Briggs tried to do with the character drive, so it gives you enough time to invest in these characters. Yeah, one of the characters called Gregson, Philippa Gregson. Nice bit of dialogue with her as she met the Third Doctor and unit when they were investigating this apparent crashed Vord ship which they could not locate. And that she has like a nice bit of dialogue with her losing her family and that, which was quite good. And that all she has left is Matilda Gregson. And yeah, about halfway through, maybe a little bit longer, the Vord do appear. They're not like Domain of the Vord, and they're sort of like the Keys of Marinus, but done a little bit more differently. They feel very militaristic sort of feel to them now, a bit like the Sontarans. But really in this story they were very flat, they were very average in this story, and not really like Domain of the Vord, which they felt very creepy and like a threat, and that they really needed to be taken down. But here they don't really feel like an invading force. There's only really 2 Vord which appear. The Vord don't feel very interesting, they just feel like an average monster. Yeah, the Vord in here are very standard and their presence is weak. They don't have no threat to them until very late in the story, which only lasts about 2 minutes when one of the Vord like kills a lot of people, which is quite nice, but that's about it. Not a lot of Vord action. The Vord were very much used really as like a marketing sort of way to make people sort of look into Doom Coalition 2, because when people think of the Vord, ooh, classic monsters. Big Finish are reviving them, because Big Finish are notorious for reviving crap monsters from the TV series like the Vardan, the Vords, and as well the Mavellans are coming back as well, so they'll probably make them good, because Big Finish do make crap stuff very good, which is from the TV series. I gotta hand it to them, but they do make crap stuff very good. But here they're better than the Keys of Marinus, but because they have like a militaristic feel to them, but they just didn't do a lot or add a layer of threat to them. But yeah, the Vord, they do have like an overarching plot they do, which leads into like scenes from her life, but the Vords aren't in the other stories within the set. But there's something going on which I'll leave to the listener. We learn stuff like why the Vord crash land on Earth in Stegmore, and what's going on with the Vord. We do learn that a little bit, which then that will lead to quite a big and main thing of Doom Coalition 2. As you can see a connection to all the covers, they do have this green energy on the covers. Yeah, I would say from only track 9 to 12 is the only part of the story where it's moving, where the Vord, I feel like they're more in the story. So yeah, in conclusion, Beachhead, it's an okay story, quite enjoyable. I preferred it on second listen to first listen. First listen I found it so dull. The second listen, a bit more better it was. There's some things I quite liked, like the Third Doctor references, that was quite fun with the dialogue as well. Spawn characters, average. Vord sort of packed a punch near the end, but they needed more of a threat level and they weren't used to their full potential. Really used as a marketing technique to make people look at Doom Coalition 2. Same thing with River Song. On my first listen, this was my least favourite out of the set, but you have to wait and see if it still is my least favourite out of the set or not. Quite slow it is, not a lot of drive to it. The companions, Liv and Helen, don't do too much in it. So yeah, I give Beachhead a 5 out of 10. It's an average story, there's nothing bad about it, but it's just plain flat average. There's nothing special out of it. Nothing which grows it to a 6 out of 10 when I say this story is actually good. It's plain average for me. I know some people quite like the story and give it like something like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, or even say it's their favourite out of the set, which is completely fine. Again, Doom Coalition 2 has so many mixed opinions. It's always interesting to see different opinions, but yeah, this one for me is an average story to start off the box set. So that was Beachhead by Nicholas Briggs, 5 out of 10. Let's move on to the next story within the set, Scenes from Her Life by John Dorney.
Someone or something has altered established history.
So very, very special indeed.
Doctor!
You're the doctor?
You've heard of me?
So we're by Scenes from Her Life by John Dorney, the one I was most looking forward to out of the sets. John Dorney, he's a fantastic writer. The Red Lady is definitely one of the best stories out of Doom Coalition so far. I'm really debating now if the 11's better or the Red Lady. I love them both because that is just hammer horror. So much hammer horror in that story. I love it. But yes, now we're here to Scenes from Her Life. I was thinking that this one won't be as good as the Red Lady, but I was like thinking that this one may hit an 8 out of 10 or perhaps a 9. It's John Dorney, he's very much by the area of 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s. Yeah, this one feels a lot different from the other box sets. Has a very interesting atmosphere as well and visual effects when you picture it in your mind. It's a very odd story. If I can sort of pull it, I would say it has a very celestial toy maker sort of atmosphere because it's got very witty and silly characters and very strange architecture and background, music and sound effects, and it reminds me of the Celestial Toymaker, a very witty and fun, strange atmosphere, but yeah, it feels like it's dangerous, the atmosphere. Yeah, the atmosphere feels very strange and cold, so the sound design and music was very well done in this one. I'd say sound design and music and architecture, background, atmosphere was really good in this one. So yeah, well done to like the music and sound designer and the writer as well, John Dorney. But yeah, this one feels a lot like Celestial Toymaker to me, so I think it will be a very acquired taste sort of audio. Very witty and silly characters, because I do think some people say they are quite grating to listen to, which I personally disagree. I love the characters in this story, very fun, witty, but yet quite odd. There's something really weird about them, and you can't really put your head on it of what's really wrong with them. Are they actually nutters? Are they ill? Something wrong with them? Are they actually really devious people? With these really weird characters, does add another layer to the atmosphere as they're very abnormal characters. Yeah, that's definitely a positive, that is. Characters really well done, and it really works with the atmosphere. But yeah, the Doctor and the companions land on a planet which I will name nameless because that is sort of spoilers. It's not a huge spoiler, but it builds up what Beachhead was doing, so I'll keep it quiet. Because this is where it opens the main arc, and John Dorney does quite a lot with it in this story. But yeah, I can read from what it says on the bio. They land on a deserted Gothic city. Even though it's a little bit more than that, again, I'm not really going to go into that. But yeah, I haven't told the weird characters. It is Lord Stormblood, I can't remember the other two, Lady Sepula, I'm probably saying that wrong, and Swordfish, who is like very much a butler to Lord Stormblood and the lady as well. And yeah, they are conducting very vile, inhuman experiments. And yeah, their character directions near the end is pretty good. That was pretty well done by John Dorney right by there. And yeah, there's another character who is Kalira, who is trapped in this machine by these absolute insane lunatics. I have to say, Vincent Franklin does a really good job with Lord Stormblood. I just love his dialogue and his funny voice. It is great. And just feel Swordfish, which I cannot remember the actor's name, which is Hamish Clark. Really good stuff to him as well. And yeah, this does bring a question of these characters of what's wrong with them. Are they sick? Are they crazy? Or are they devious fanatics conducting these vile experiments? Are they actually evil people? But yeah, Helen finally gets something to do. Gets a moment in Doom Coalition. Thank the Lord for that. Because she's really been underused. It's not been good for Helen. Well, not as a character-wise, she's enjoyable to listen to, but she isn't getting a lot to do in Doom Coalition. Nothing big or anything like that, which I find very underwhelming. But yeah, here she does get something quite nice, bit of dialogue, which is lovely. This is the scene with her and Kalira when she is trapped in the machine, as Helen's trying to calm her down. The 8th Doctor is written quite well in this one, as the Doctor's opinions on these characters, he just finds them harmless. The 8th Doctor is still thinking that there's more than these characters that meets the eye. There's something that they're hiding or something like that. So the 8th Doctor's trying to expose them, which is something which is connecting back to the story Beachhead. Yeah, not too much on that. I'm not really going to go into that. Now, the 11 does have a part in the story. He's not actually in it, but it's like a flashback scene. So it's nice to hear Mark Bonner's the 11 finally, because he's not being used yet. He doesn't get nothing to do into the final story, the Sonomancer. And by the Sonomancer, it does answer the question of what Doom Coalition is. But yeah, I'll touch upon that in the Sonomancer. But yeah, the story has some nice flashback sequences to the 11 story, when the 11 was trapped in a cell. This one is quite an integral story to Doom Coalition. Yeah, it's quite a few flashbacks to the 11 and Doom Coalition 1. And also plays the part of this Sonomancer, which will play, obviously, a bigger part in the other Doom Coalition releases. Yeah, the story's got some good twists. There's one at the end, which I think was very well done on first listen, but when I listened to it second time, the twist didn't really hit me as much. Probably because I knew it was obviously coming up, but when I watch a story and then experience a twist multiple times, I do get the same feeling out of it, like chills and whatnot, but here, I don't. It's still a good twist, but when you've experienced it once, you don't have the same feeling of it. But I still think it is an absolutely incredible story with some fantastic atmosphere. This one can be very easily to go into spoilers. It's quite integral with the Doom Coalition series, so I can't say too much on it of where they actually are or anything like that, because it will spoil Doom Coalition 2 for you. So there's some things I cannot cover, but characters wonderful, really strange atmosphere, well written, and yeah, well acted. So I give Scenes from Her Life 8 out of 10. It is not anything like The Red Lady, but it's still a good story nonetheless, and an 8 out of 10. Not as good on second listen. First listen I gave it a 9 out of 10, but it's dropped to an 8 out of 10 for me. So that was my look at Scenes from Her Life by John Dorney. Now to the next story, The Gift by
Saying
Mark
there was a
Plant.
time machine here.
How is it possible?
It's a gift, senor.
I know this city. I died and was reborn.
So to the third story off the set, The Gift by Mark Platt. Now the Galileo trap from Doom Coalition 1, I would say that is the weakest out of the box set. It was very dull and flat and boring, no movement, pacing was all over the place. And as well, other people have brought up this problem that the volume keeps going up and down. It's a little bit irritating to listen to. And that's very odd for Mark Platt to deliver something flat, because I see Mark Platt to be one of the most greatest Doctor Who writers in my opinion. Like Lumbarrow's something definitely special. The Spare Parts, the Silver Turk as well, just fantastic stories. So I was a little bit shaky of what the Gift would be like, and reviews on this one, a lot of people do say it is the weakest out of the 7, and others say it's actually a pretty good story. And in my personal opinion, I think the Gift is a true dark horse. People seem to dislike the Gift, but when I look at it, I think these listeners who are disliking the Gift are missing out of what is truly wonderful about the Gift. Yeah, the main reason of why people dislike the Gift is because of the sporting characters, like the American characters with very grating accents. So yeah, they found it very grating to the ear, and they just couldn't really engage with the story that well. And the enjoyment was diminishing. And since they're not very connected to the story, I see that they missed out what is truly wonderful about the Gift. And yeah, I actually do like the Gift. It's a very good, fun story, and it's got many positives to it in my opinion, which I think people overlook as they just can't really engage with it because of their grating voices. And as well with the runabout sort of plot as well. But I'll get into its positives. It's the 8th Doctor. I find the 8th Doctor's characterization in this so strong. Mark Platt really nails the 8th Doctor in this one. It really reminds me how the 8th Doctor was written in the BBC EDAs. Books like The 8th Doctors, Vampire Science, etc. He seems very enthusiastic and passionate to take down this threat. And I do love it when the 8th Doctor is written like this. Yeah, the Gift wins in one level, is that it's the best characterization for the 8th Doctor. Out of all the writers for Doom Coalition 2, but Mark Platt really just nailed the characterization of the 8th Doctor. They're so well written and characterized. But yeah, I'll backtrack back to the plot. Yeah, backtrack to the plots. The Doctor and the companions are at San Francisco in 1906. They were tracking down and locating the Sonomancer energy, which was detected in scenes from her life. And I like to think that this story plays a nice bit of homage to the 8 Doctors, the first BBC EDA, as in this story, the Doctor sort of goes up against gangsters in this one, local gangsters, greedy people who want to get their hands on the Gift. And in the 8 Doctors, there's a scene where the 8th Doctor is attacking and fighting gangsters. So I like to think that that is playing a little bit of homage to the 8 Doctors, if that was Mark Platt's intention or was completely coincidental, but I like to think of it as a nice reference to the 8 Doctors. Yeah, essentially what the Gift is, it's basically a gift to people, allows them to conjure money. So the Gift is a bit like ritual energy. So of course these like gangsters and really greedy people obviously want to eye this because it's a gift. They can conjure how much money they want. And as well, people who are poor and suffering for money will have their eyes on the Gift. And people will start fighting against each other to try and get the Gift, as this will make people rich and change their lives. And yeah, the Gift does get transported from person to person, different characters and whatnot. It's a really good idea because when you talk about money, being rich, and of course people and characters, especially these type of characters, will definitely eye on it like gangsters and whatnot. Yeah, the companions in this story, Liv and Helen, they were pretty good in this story, with Liv being very military minded a little bit, a bit of a tactical mind. And you can definitely tell her character likes a lot of leadership. So she had some good dialogue and a bit full of attitude, a little bit, a bit bossy. I will go over Liv's character in the conclusion because I got a few things to say about Liv. And Helen still really just tagging along for the fun of it. Had a nice scene and scenes from her life. But again, I need to go into somewhere with more detail about Helen in the conclusion. Yeah, this story is very much filler. But when you look at it as a standalone story, I think it's a very good one. It's a wonderful story, if not a little bit runabouty, but I admit it's a lot of fun nonetheless. So with The Gift, if you listen to it once and you just can't stand the characters and it's quite grating to the ear, I insist you check it for a second time, because I believe that you are missing out on what is wonderful about The Gift, such as the 8th Doctor's fantastic characterization. Plays a lot of homage to the EDAs and the 8th Doctors. And I personally find it a fun run around plot and with very colourful characters. So yeah, I do recommend giving this one a second shot because it does upset me a little bit that people find this one the weakest one. That's why I think it is a dark horse, as I think people aren't really looking at the positives it has rather than just discussing the negatives. But yeah, that's my personal opinion on it. If you still don't like it on your second listen, that's completely fair enough. It's everyone's opinion at the end of the day. But I do think it is a wonderful, underrated 8th Doctor adventure. And I disagree as well that it is the weakest from the set. I don't agree with that. So yeah, in conclusion, it's a wonderful, witty, fun story, quite runabouty as I said. It's very much filler, which is building up the final episode, or final story, which is the Sonomancer. I give The Gift a 8 out of 10. So that was The Gift by Mark Platt. Now to Sonomancer.
A pathetic human against a Time Lord.
Oh, you want to fight? You've just got...
So to the final story of the set, the Sonomancer by Matt Fitton. We're at the finale. And what a finale it was. Now this is the reason why I didn't want to do my Doom Coalition 2 review. Because of what I think of the Sonomancer. I think it's a complete and utter failure. The plot itself, I find it very average and unengaging, but that's not where the big problems are with the Sonomancer. It's the directions it takes with the 11 Sonomancer and then the overarching thing which is going to lead up into Doom Coalition 3 and 4. And yeah, my reaction is when I finished it, Doom Coalition 2, the first time and the second time, my reaction was exactly the same. Doom Coalition is ill. The range is ill. The monthly range is doing fantastic. 4th Doctor Adventures are doing fantastic. War Doctor, Torchwood, they're all doing brilliantly. But Doom Coalition is going down. It is suffering badly. The range is ill. And it needs to recover. But yeah, the damage has already been done because the range, this story really does damage Doom Coalition for me and for quite some other people. Yeah, the plots, I was so unengaged. I just cannot engage with the plots because all I have on my mind is that the only element which is obviously gonna drive this box set, and I cannot believe it wasn't utilised very well at all, it's the 11. That's the thing which is supposed to be moving this series along, the main enemy. It was fantastic in the 11. And as well, it had its moments in the Satanic Mill, I have to be honest. But here, it's worse. The 11 really needed to be in this story straight away because the story has no drive at all. And all I was saying to myself is, come on 11, just get in the story, do your devious works. I want to see this crazy, mad, dangerous Time Lord's criminal cause havoc and fear so we can really feel like a threat again. That is what I wanted with the Sonomancer, but we don't get it. I thought that was supposed to be the most important element, to make the 11 this dangerous Time Lord's criminal. But here he's just being pushed away, just mopped up and just put under the carpet, saying, nah, we don't need the 11, we got the Sonomancer to deal with now. That's pretty much what they did with the 11, just swept him under the rug, and his presence was very low. So yeah, the 11 is only used in this one story, and what he gets in this one is very low, and from the scenes he gets, I was extremely disappointed. The 11 now is not getting what he deserves. He is supposed to be the centre stage of this, not the Sonomancer, or if you want to build a Sonomancer, build them up on the same line. Don't put the 11 underneath. It just doesn't work. And of course, people are going to complain when the 11, the first thing built up for Doom Coalition, is not being utilised well enough. But yeah, at this point, we do know what Doom Coalition is on about now, which is the 11 and the Sonomancer. But with the 11 being pushed away because of the Sonomancer, I think that's a terrible move. And it should have been balanced out, it should have been handled better. The 11 should have got a lot more to do, and not let the Sonomancer overshadow him, because that was basically what was happening. He should have been right into the action, the 11. He's supposed to be a dangerous Time Lord criminal. In the 11, when he was even in a cell, he felt dangerous, he did. And he felt like a threat, even though he was trapped. But here, it's gone, it's lost. yeah, sometimes the 11 was creeping in with some nice dialogue and lines. Like the one from the Big Finish video trailer on their channel, where he goes, "What can you do? A pathetic human against a Time Lord?" He goes like that and he sounds crazy. And yes, this is the 11 getting back in action. And then 30 seconds later, nope. He's just gone. No intimidation. And he gets his ass beaten by Liv and River Song. You don't make a big villain look like a wimp. And the 11, he didn't feel like a wimp to me at all. In the story, the 11, he felt dangerous, devious. But he was just used wrong. It's like a completely different villain to me. You don't just basically beat up the 11 like that. Being anywhere near him, you're supposed to bring that threat in. Not him getting his ass beat by River Song or Liv. Come on. And that's too early in the game for something like that to happen to the 11. But yeah, as I said, in the 11 from Doom Coalition 1, he felt creepy. He felt dangerous. With just his dialogue and his regenerations like popping up. He just sound creepy and dangerous. Here, right out of the window. So yeah, I'm very upset with how the 11 was treated in this story. In Doom 1, he was just so creepy, so devious. Just an insane character, and his dialogue, it really brings a threat, and the listener feels like, oh crap, now he's really gonna bring it now. And he says in the 11, he goes, "Eviscerated armies, incinerated worlds." He said that in the South, and from when I listened to the 11, I think that he was actually capable of doing that, destroying armies and bringing massacre to planets. I felt like he can actually do that. But when I've listened to the 11 in this story, I say no, he's not capable of that. He's a completely different character, a completely different villain. An absolute shame with the 11. They really need to sort that out. I know the damage is already done, but they can hopefully rectify it and sort it out in Doom Coalition 3. He has to be devious, he has to be insane. Do what he says. Eviscerated armies, incinerated worlds. That's what I want to see him do. I want to hear him laugh, going crazy over it. As well in Doom 1, when he was watching people and these creatures dying in the story of the 11, he was enjoying it. He was getting satisfaction from it. The level of quality from Doom Coalition 1 to Doom Coalition 2 is a massive difference. Alright, that's my 11th rant finished with now. Just really upset with it. This just pains me, it does. That's why this review has been so difficult with the Sonomancer. But anyway, let's move on. We got River Song now, who's in the cover, and River Song is only in the Sonomancer and none of the other stories. Again, you don't need the Diary of River Song to understand this. Completely not connected at all. Yeah, River Song is in this story, and my reply was... why? First thing, I'll get this out straight away. Don't favour the 8th Doctor and River Song meet, because they don't. River Song is really with Liv in this story, for the most part, but really she feels like a very loose add-on, so I can really tell that this is just a marketing technique to make people invest in this box and take a look at it. So, oh, a new series character of Doom Coalition 2, oh, I'm definitely going to look into this and pay my money, even though she's a very controversial character. It's a marketing technique. Same thing with the Vord. They feel like very loose add-ons. Well, actually, not really the Vord, but River Song feels like a very loose add-on to me personally. But anyway, her character is bearable. She's not written like the TV series, which is brilliant. That's good. She's bearable. That's fair enough. But still, why was she even in this? Did she even need to be in it? No, I don't think she even needed to be in it. The story would work without her. So yeah, to my conclusion of the Sonomancer, I was really disappointed. This audio is one of my least favourites out of my entire collection. It's got an average plot which I could not connect to. The 11 was barely in it, wasn't utilised well enough. He felt like a completely different villain, was written differently, made out to be a wimp. And that's not how you do the 11. He's not a wimp. He's a Time Lord criminal. He's supposed to be this devious, insane lunatic, not a wimp. I gotta stop with the 11 rant, it keeps coming out of me, I just cannot stop it because I'm that annoyed with it. River Song, just a pointless add-on in my opinion. And yeah, now to the rating.
for the positives, I guess I can tally up. The performances, like the voice acting was good, which adds a point to it. So that's a very, very low rating. I rarely rate stuff underneath a 5 out of 10 because I really try to look at positives when something is that bad, and when something's that good I see if there's any negatives about it, like We Are the Daleks. I listened to that a second time to try and find negatives, but there wasn't any. I tried to really listen to this one and I just cannot find anything I like about it. I say this is the weakest story out of Doom Coalition, one of the weakest stories I have ever listened to. Some terrible directions. I really feel like rating it something like a 1 out of 10. I hate it. I absolutely hate the story. I am probably not ever going to listen to the Sonomancer ever again. If I do a marathon of Doom Coalition or something like that, then I guess I will have to, but I'm probably never going to eye the Sonomancer ever again. The Sonomancer now, it's done one thing for Doom Coalition, it's made it very ill. Doom Coalition is suffering from an illness, and it really needs its medicine. If Big Finish do not fix the range, it's going to turn out to be a very mixed bag. I know some people do like Doom Coalition 2, there are others, a lot of people are saying that Doom Coalition is suffering, and I'm definitely on that line. And this, in my opinion, is what has made Doom Coalition in a really bad state. I give it a 1 out of 10. I've never rated something that low before from a Big Finish audio, I think. But it really just annoyed me so much. But I have to give it a 1. Plot is average, but all the directions it takes, what they did with the 11, River Song in it, not really even used. Not even meeting the 8th Doctor and feels like a loose add-on. Sonomancer overshadowing the 11. And overall, it's a complete failure in my opinion. This is what is making Doom Coalition ill. And it really needs its medicine. I really hope Doom Coalition 3 and 4, it's not like this. Because if it is, then Doom Coalition is going to be a very, very mixed bag of a range. So yeah, that was my review of Doom Coalition. They really need to improve it now, and I think I'll go back to what I was saying about Liv and Helen. I think Liv really does need to leave soon, as Helen's just not getting enough, and I think it only needs to be the Doctor and Helen and not Liv now. She's had a lot, Liv. She appeared in Dark Eyes 2, all the way now to Doom Coalition 2, and I think she needs to leave and have a departure. Nothing against the actress, the performer, nothing against her, but her character just needs to go to give space for Helen. But yes, now I'm going to rank the stories in order. 4th place is Sonomancer with a 1 out of 10. Never rated an audio that low before. That even gives Necromantia a run for its money, I'm not even joking. 3rd place is the very average Beachhead by Nicholas Briggs, and for these two stories they are good, not groundbreaking, but still 8 out of 10s. We have The Gift at 2nd place, a really good dark horse. A really good story, I really enjoyed this one, it's a true dark horse. And then number 1, Scenes from Her Life, not as good on second listen, but still is my favourite out of the set, The No Red Lady. So to my rating of Doom Coalition, we do out of 40 first, and then we'll do a percentage which will go into the 10 out of 10 score, or out of 10 score. So we have a 5 out of 10 for Beachhead, 2 8 out of 10 Scenes from Her Life and The Gift, and a 1 out of 10 for the Sonomancer, which equals 22 out of 40. That is the lowest rating I've gave a box set. And doing that percentage wise, that is just slightly above average, but I'm not giving this a 6 out of 10. I am not giving this any kindness whatsoever. I give Doom Coalition 2 a 5 out of 10. It suffers too much. I'm not going to go to a 6 out of 10. I was thinking about it, but no, it's dead average, this box set. Yeah, this has 2 good stories, 1 average story, and 1 absolutely terrible story in my opinion. So yeah, Doom Coalition 2 gets a 5 out of 10 from me. So yeah, that was the video on Doom Coalition 2. Very disappointed set. I don't want to talk any more about this. It's finished, I've done, and I'm happy to say that. Would I recommend it? Well, you may like it, but from watching this video and what I've discussed, you're probably not that interested in it. But if you're a collector, then by all means go ahead, but I would say do not expect anything groundbreaking. But I would say it is worth it if you want to check out Scenes from Her Life and The Gift, because I think they're good stories. But yeah, again, it's so mixed opinions. I hear people saying they don't like Scenes from Her Life or The Gift. It's so mixed. But anyway, I'm done. I'm finished. So yes, my next review is The Wave of Destruction. How can Tom Baker go wrong? So I'll see you in The Wave of Destruction, and of course, have a good one. Bloody hell, that was a hard review.